Adrenaline Radio, 1680 on your AM dial. I'm Fred Blanchard, your host for Adrenaline Motorsports. This evening, we've been fortunate enough to have Mr. Steve Montrelli back here in studio to bring us up to date on several of the things that are happening in the motorsports, primarily in drag racing. And we've gone through the first part of the season in drag racing, NHRA style. And also we've come about with the March meet, which was held in Bakersfield, California here this last week. And we're dealing with, we had weather conditions up there that some of the cars had some issues in those areas. But part of our conversation this evening, I think, is going to kind of lend itself to a variety of things that have come about in the motorsport racing of the type of drag racing that we're doing today. There were some issues that came about in regards to safety issues. I know that that's always been a prime concern, and NHRA as a sanctioning body has tried to move forward with some changes, and we talked about this a couple of shows ago with Steve, and cars are running now at 1,000 foot instead of 1320 as we knew it as the quarter-mile race. And along with that safety issue, there's some more things that have come about, and I'm going to have Steve kind of touch on those. There's an unfortunate incident that occurred at the Phoenix, Arizona event. And Steve, why don't you bring us to current on some of the things that the NHRA is currently looking at, and because of what took place there at Phoenix?
Well, it looks like they're going to. They've been looking into the studs on the rear wheels. What happened is the car left the starting line and started shaking the tires, and the driver got out of it like he would normally do and hit the throttle again. And with the way the tire wraps up, it's like a sponge, and evidently when it came back down and hit the ground, it just broke all the lugs off of the left wheel, and the car turned left and went up on the guardrail, and the tire went all the way over into the pits and hit a spectator.
One of the things, Steve, I wanted to touch on, people that don't know drag racing, if they've noticed that the rear tires do fold up and create, it looks like they're going flat, but in reality, that's the way the tire was designed to perform. But in the process of this, it has so much load on it under the power of the engine that pretty much creates extreme amount of stress on the rest of the driveline parts. And the studs you're referring to are the studs that basically hold the wheel onto the drivetrain, which is basically the rear end and that kind of thing. But they sheared off those studs, and they're pretty big in size, Steve.
Yeah, I think they're 9/60, maybe even 5/8. They have talked about different things, but I'm sure what they've done is all the cars that are at this race this weekend in Gainesville, I'm sure they've all put new studs in the cars. And there's John Medlin and Lee Beard from the Schumacher car. They're both kind of like on the safety side of for their cars, and they're looking into some more ways to maybe keep the wheel from leaving the car. I don't think that's going to happen. They're going to just have to come up with a better way to for the studs to be mounted, or more studs, or whatever. But I don't think there's any way you could take the tire and keep it to the car. There's no place to put nothing to do that.
Boy, you know, one of the things you alluded to is John Medlin, and I think we had conversation on that before the show, that he is no longer with John Force Racing and he's moved on now. Do you want to share a little information on that?
Well, the way I understand it, he's moved over to Don Schumacher Racing, and he's going to, over there at John's, he parked one car, so they didn't need another crew chief. And I think John, he's been working on the new chassis and all the safety equipment for Medlin when his son had passed away. So they've done a lot of new things for the designs of the race cars, more safety things, seats and all kinds of things, headrests. And John has been doing that now for the last 2-3 years. And the way I understand it is, he would like to be a crew chief on a car again and be able to make his car go down a racetrack with all the safety things that they've put on him. So he's going to be running the car that's sponsored by Die Hard, Sears and Roebuck, out of the Don Schumacher racing team.
One of the other things that was discussed, Steve, was pro stocks and some issues with track conditions like compounds. Why don't you shed some light on that?
Well, about 4 weeks ago, I think it is now, they had a race at Phoenix, Arizona, which was the second NHRA national event for the year. They had some problems with 2 pro stockers, one on Friday and one on Saturday, that turned over and slid around. Luckily, nobody got hurt, but it destroyed the cars. And it was happening at about 1,000 feet. And they were saying, some of the pro stock guys, actually they also, I think they crashed a comp car, a dragster, and they couldn't figure out what was going on. There is a bump on the left side of the track, and all 3 cars that crashed were on that side of the track.
You're talking about down the course, Steve?
Yeah, about 1,000 feet down.
I see.
Down the track.
So these cars run beyond that, don't they?
Well, they run 1,320 feet.
Okay, the quarter mile then.
Right,
okay.
So they're thinking that maybe because the track has not been prepared as good as the first 1,000 feet for the big guys, that maybe that's the problem. Well, they came to find out, they took the traction compound that they put on the racetrack, and they took and had it checked. And what they found is that they also have a circle track there, and they also have a boat track, racetrack, water track. And they found that the solution that they were trying to use was for the circle track, and it wasn't the right compound.
Wow. The thing about Phoenix that people don't know about, I guess, unless you follow the sport, is this wheel sheared off of the dragster and went over into the spectator area and struck a spectator, and unfortunate event happened that the spectator lost her life. And because of this, all these things have come about in regards to the safety issues and the revamp of some of the drive lines of these cars today. Yeah, Steve, now the pro stock guys, I guess, got pretty upset with this, and they tried to tell us a little bit about what took place here.
Well, basically, they didn't want to take a chance. I mean, those cars cost about $150,000 each. They didn't want to take a chance of losing any more cars or anybody getting hurt. So what they decided to do, they all went together to NHRA, and they said they would like to take the rest of the eliminations and take it up to the next race, which is Gainesville, and use the qualifying runs for eliminations for the Phoenix race. And that's what they're going to do this weekend.
I see. In that, so basically they're able to adjust the rules according to the conditions that they've encountered each time something does occur like this, which has been a rarity from what I can tell in drag racing.